Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things mompreneur life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. So let's do this. OMG. I hope you're ready for today's episode with my guest, Kiné Corder. She is the world's #1 national certified counselor specializing in financial therapy. Who ever knew there was such a thing? I did not until I met her virtually. She's also the CEO of Presidential Lifestyle, a tech-enabled, subscription-based wellness company focused on prosperity. Kiné has been in the fields of mental health and financial planning since 2003. In her work, she combines emotional mastery, money mastery, and business strategies to help private practice business owners get to their next level of financial success. In 2014, she merged her background in financial planning with her education in mental health to create the financial therapy practice that she runs today. Again, who even knew there was such a thing as financial therapy? Kiné is passionate about this topic because as a business owner herself in private practice, she struggled with burnout and not making enough money. Even though she was working hard, she still didn't feel successful. Can you relate? After she created her financial therapy program, she was able to use it to break through the blocks that were holding her back. And that's why she teaches her financial therapy for business success framework to other private practice business owners. She works with them to overcome the fear and the doubt they secretly feel about growing their business to the next level of financial success. She offers a free webinar each week about the 4 steps every service-based business owner needs to build a simple, logical, and profitable business. She loves to help private practice owners have more time, freedom, money, and fun while they make a difference in the lives of others. This life has allowed Kiné to spend time with her family, travel the world, and change the way mental health is viewed and administered. So you're going to love this interview. Like her, I wish you could have seen just like she's got the most beautiful smile and her energy is just amazing. She'll make you laugh. She'll make you think. Really, really, really good. So I cannot wait for you to dive into this. You're probably going to want to listen to this on repeat. We are going to have a part 2 to this because there were some other things that we wanted to discuss and I could talk to her for hours. So I know that you have an attention span and I do too, very short. So we're going to break it up into 2 parts, but please just get ready to be wowed by this interview. And I can't wait to hear what you think. You can always come and find me on Instagram and let me know what you thought about this episode. All right. You ready? Let's do this. Well, welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. This is your host, Martine Williams, and I am so excited about today's Turquoise Talk guest. It's just really amazing to me, the amazing people who are out there doing just such impactful work, not just in the lives of mompreneurs, but just all over. And it's one of my favorite things about owning or hosting my own podcast is I get to actually meet these people and ask them the questions that maybe you want to know or that I want to know. And so I'm super excited about today's guest, Kiné Corder. Did I say it right?
Yes.
I was telling her before we started recording that my name gets butchered all the time. Like my name is Martine, but for some reason, some people put a Z on the end and call me Martinez. I'm like, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah, that happens to me too. And yeah. Shalene, we have a friend in common, Shalene. Yeah, Shalene and I talk about that all the time, but people say Kinea sometimes.
Okay.
So I'm like, I know what they're trying to do because there's an accent over my E. So They're like, I know I'm supposed to do something with that E. I just don't know what it is.
Shalene, like, shut the door, Shalene. Charlene. It's Charlene, like shut the door.
Oh, yeah, that's right. People add the R to her name.
Yes.
Yeah. Remind me to tell you this funny story about Charlene in her name.
I
It's
will.
hilarious.
So just think of Renee, and that's what she told me for you, Kiné. So Renee, Kiné.
Yep.
Now y'all will never forget it. And when you meet her in person, hopefully someday you'll be able to say it correctly. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time today to come on the podcast. I'm so excited to just dive into all of this information. So for those who don't know you, can you kind of just share a little bit about you, maybe your family, where you live, like how you became an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see.
Question, didn't it?
I'm like, and you do not want to ask me this question. Like, I am the person that could talk about, you know how people say, I can't talk about myself. No, I'm not that person. Like, I can totally talk about myself. So let's see. So I introduced myself as, the world's #1 national certified counselor specializing in financial therapy. And the reason why I do that is because I'm going to say there's nobody, but let's just say I don't know anybody who is formally trained the way that I am. I worked as a financial advisor for many years, Series 7 and 66 license. And what happened was I realized that my clients needed help with more than just stock picks and financial plans. Right. What ended up happening is I'm seeing this anxiety, this trauma, this, depression, all of these emotions around money. And these people had money, some of them plenty of money that they would never spend in their lifetime, and was thinking about how to pass it down to their grandchildren, but they still had all of this emotion around money. And I wasn't equipped to help them. So I went back to school, got my master's in clinical mental health counseling, and became a therapist. And then I blended the two together. Now, when I was a financial advisor is when I found out about financial therapy, but I had never heard of financial therapy. And when the person said, oh, it sounds like what you need to do is financial therapy. And I was like, that's a thing.
That's how I was when I first saw you. I'm like, what is that? That was so intriguing, but also so like, what is that?
Yeah, right. So financial therapy, simply put, like if you go to the Financial Therapy Association, it's like a long paragraph to explain it. But I like to explain it that it is reconciling your emotions around money. And if I change that word reconciling, our branding word is mastery, money mastery by emotional mastery. Like if you can master your emotions, that doesn't mean that you're going to have more or less. It just means that no matter how much you have, you're okay with yourself, you're okay with your situation, and you're okay with doing whatever it takes to get wherever you want to be as it associates with money, because it means different things to different people. And one of the biggest things that society has done us a disservice is making us believe that we're all supposed to live this one life. Yeah. Like there's this like exact idea of money, and you need to fit into it. And if you don't, then you have all of these emotions. And there are 4 emotions that I see the most. And they are fear emotions, I should say, I see the absolute most, right? That's like fear of the unknown, fear of not being accepted, especially with business owners, right? Fear of not being enough. So but that kind of spills over into your what I call lack emotions. And then your lack emotions are like not good enough. I better go out and get all these certifications so that somebody could think I'm good enough, right? Then there's what I call money emotions, specifically money emotions, which is mostly around like greed and guilt. Like, oh, if I charge too much, then people are going to think I'm greedy, or maybe I shouldn't have said that number. Then you feel guilt, right? And then there are what I call lonely emotions. And that's that it's lonely at the top kind of thing, or you're looking for the meaning in life, or you feel misunderstood because nobody has the lifestyle you have. And though all of those emotions are what we have to reconcile. And that's when you need a financial therapist, when you're looking at all of these different emotions you have around money or your business or your lifestyle, and you don't feel good about them. And there's a way to feel good about them, but people don't know that there's a way. So they think they just have to live with that stress or shame or guilt or whatever it is that they're feeling.
So true. And I think that was probably my number one reason for bringing you on, is just that awareness that there is a way to deal with it. It's not something you just have to hustle through or pull yourself up by your bootstraps and put your big girl panties on, or whatever phrase you want to use there. But there is someone who can actually walk you through the process and help you with this. So I know someone who's listening is like, yes, that sounds amazing. Didn't know that existed. So you just feel freedom to know, hey, there's someone that can help you in the way that you do. So one of the things you talk about is taming your brain for success. And I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah. So first, I want to say you talked about awareness, and April is Financial Awareness Month. They actually call it Financial Literacy Month. And I changed it to Financial Awareness because most of us are literate, right? We know we're supposed to have a budget. We know that we're supposed to spend less than we make. We know all the fundamentals that come with it. Now, whether we do it or not, kind of like the diet industry, we know we're supposed to eat right and exercise, but do we do it? That's one thing.
Amen to that.
So the literacy is there. It's the awareness. And part of that awareness is what we just talked about, the emotions, and you feeling like you're the only one going through this. And so some of the awareness is understanding that you are not alone. And if you just knew that you're not alone, then you wouldn't even feel as bad as, not that it would make everything go away, but you wouldn't feel as bad as you do. It is just that feeling that you're the only one going through this. So part of taming your brain is the awareness. That is the first step, is to understand what is happening right now. And I like to put it like this. So let's see if you're driving, or if you're going to probably have to listen back to this. But if you're sitting down, I'm saying get some paper and pen, because you're going to want to take some notes. So I like to look at it like this. There is an authentic version of you, and you might not have seen this person in a very long time. You probably don't even remember her anymore, right? But she still exists, and she's down there, and you got to go get her, because she has been protected by the imposter. I was adamant about that word, intentional about that word, because we give the imposter such a bad, rap, and we're so hard on the imposter. But the imposter's job is to protect us, and we need to be thankful for the work that our imposter does. A lot of people talk about shadow work as if that is a bad part of you that you need to heal almost, right? But no, let's not kill the imposter. What we need to do is tame the imposter. No, girl, no, I don't need you. Thank you. Not right now, but I will need you, because there are times when you need to put on that face. And let me tell you, when you have every mom has had this happen. Yeah. So I'm going to just skate for 1 second, but I promise I'll come back. So I have adopted daughters, and their biological mother passed away. And the amount of emotions that I felt in that moment. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. Like seeing them in pain, but there's more. Their biological mother passed away on their birthday.
Oh my word.
So I'm trying to celebrate their birthday with them. I'm trying to remember her. It was so many emotions. And in this moment, all I could think about was be strong for them. Be strong for them. If I break down, they're going to break down. This is not going to be good. Right. No, and we don't want this memory of us just falling apart. We want to celebrate her. We want to celebrate their birthday. It was so many freaking emotions, right? But
I'm feeling that for sure. Yes. I'm putting myself in your shoes right now. Wow.
Yes. But I had to tame my brain. Okay, you got a lot of emotions here. Which one is appropriate for this moment? Which one do you want to be remembered in this moment? But I've done a lot of work around this, right? I'm a therapist, so I can snap back that way. But what I teach people is how to snap back in that moment. So let's take this from an entrepreneur standpoint. You are in a conversation, let's say it's a business deal that you're hoping to close, and the person triggers you. But you need this to close. And in the moment, you might want to take a stand and be bold and have your attitude. But you just messed up your money, lady.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? Let me close this deal, get this check, and then I'll check this person about what they just said. Right?
Yeah.
Tame your brain, because it will go back to 13-year-old Martine, right? And you'll be like, I know you did not say
Yes. Oh, or say
that. Yeah. Or depending upon who you are, you might go meek and, oh, I better be quiet. I better not say anything. And then you lose the deal still, because now they don't trust you, because it's like, what did you just do? What just happened? Right. So taming your brain, especially in business, is around awareness, just noticing those emotions. Oh, I have 17 different emotions I'm feeling right now. Okay, let's name them. All right, I feel some disappointment. I feel some misunderstanding. I feel some, fear, whatever you're feeling, right? Just start naming them. And in the moment, once you practice this, you'll be able to do it in seconds. Right now, the way I'm explaining it sounds like it's going to take a long time, but it won't. You've done this before in split second. You just don't know that you have. Right. But as I was explaining, as a mom, you have done it. You're like, oh, shoot, gotta respond. And you go into action. But in that split second, you went through what is the most appropriate thing for this moment right now. Okay. And then you honed in on it, and then you went there. So you're going to do that. You're going to go through the layers of emotion, and then you're going to find the appropriate one for this moment. But here's the other part. You have got to promise your brain that you will go back and you will feel all of that. And you don't have to feel it for a long time. And this is where me and women get in trouble. Like sometimes we disagree on this, because women, we do like to feel our feelings and be in them and discuss them and, evaluate them and all the things, analyze them. And it's like,
yes,
let it go. Just let it go. Yeah. So I'm saying acknowledge it, know it, like know what it was. Okay. Feel it, and then let it go. It's that last part. Yeah. We sometimes get stuck in the feelings, and we don't realize that there's another part to that, a third part to that. So okay, they came up, you felt them, and then you release them. You let them go. You gave them permission. You can thank them. I'm a big on gratitude, and not in the commercial like sense of what we talk about gratitude, but just really understanding that everything is happening for your best and highest good. And I know people hate hearing that, because tragedy is tragedy. Right, yeah. It really is. And I am saying there are tragic things that happen in the world, but what could come out of that tragic thing could still be for your best and highest good if you let it. Right. Now, was that thing tragic? Absolutely. Did it hurt like heck? Absolutely. But can you rise above it? Absolutely. Yeah. And once you tame your brain, you'll do that quicker. Yeah. I find that the more work I do on myself in those areas, I am able to catch myself sooner. And so, when I'm talking to mompreneurs about whatever their mindset is or whatever they're believing at the time, my goal, you're not going to just automatically have this happen tomorrow just because we've talked about this. But the goal is you'll start catching yourself sooner. That is that serving me or is that not serving me? Is it helping me get forward or is it holding me back? And I think for a lot of women, I know for me, sometimes my default is to avoid it. So I may have awareness around this emotion, but then I just want to go into complete fix-it mode. And I just want to fix the emotion instead of giving myself an opportunity just to sit in it for a little bit, like you said, not dwell and hang out there. But it's almost like we're moving at such a fast pace of life as mompreneurs with the kids and our businesses and the wife role and all of the hats and roles that we wear, that we don't allow ourselves the time to do that process and to do that work. Would you find that to be true? Oh, yeah. It's true across the board, male and female. What I will say is that women have a way sometimes of processing that with their friends, with their mothers, with, if they're in a program or group, there are a lot more options for women to get the chance to process through their feelings than men do. So they suppress theirs even more. And a lot of times it comes out as anger. So if you have a husband, a son, even, a brother, father, and they respond to you with anger, it's just because they don't have access to their emotion because they just haven't had a chance to explore them all. But with women, which is why I said, tell your brain, I'll be back, I promise. And you can even give it a time. Hey, tomorrow I'll be able to do this. I'll be able to work through this, but not right now. Not right now. But the thing is, once you make that promise to your brain, you have to go back and process what you said you would. Otherwise, it won't trust you and be like, forget you, lady. That's what you said last time. You're going to feel this right now because I'm ready to get it out. And it's like, oh, no.
Oh, that's so good. That's just so good. It's because I think a lot of times in the heat of the moment of all those emotions, you do feel like you have to check them all off, right? And deal with all of them right then. And naturally, like you said, we do kind of figure out the one that's appropriate at the time, but then to go back and say, but I still had those other emotions that I swept under the rug that I do need to deal with.
Exactly.
Hey, friend. So you have been trying to make some shifts this year. Maybe you set some resolutions and you're just feeling stuck. You don't feel like you're making progress, or you're just not sure what to do. And you've heard me say this before, but being stuck is a mindset, not a position. And this is where a coach comes in to support you. Because here's what I know to be true about you, friend. If you could have done it alone, you would have already done it, period. And as a life coach and a certified PDP professional, I specialize in using a research-based personality and performance survey called the ProScan to illuminate how your unique personality and natural strengths, your work and life environments are influencing real-time performance. So here's what you need to do. Go to the link in the show notes and book your free clarity call to learn more about how I can support you in your goals. I can't wait to illuminate your strengths, cultivate your confidence, and elevate your life.
Now, I want to finish what I started. So the people who got out the pen are not like, what was I supposed to write down?
Welcome to the world of we're going to chase some shiny things and some squirrels just for a little bit, but we'll always come back.
So these are the things I want you to write down. I want you to write down AIM, AIM. And then these are the 3 A's. So I'm going to come back to AIM. I'm giving you the 3 A's. A, the first one, we already talked about awareness. But what you need to come back behind that, we talked about it, but I want to be specific with it. And that is acceptance. Just accept that those emotions are happening. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to do anything with them. Just accept them. All right. That is how I feel. Cool. And then you go on to the 3rd A, which is adjust. All right, where am I? What is this? What is this about? Oh, this is guilt. Oh, guilt. Okay. Is that serving me? Like you said, is that serving me? No, probably holding me back. All right. What do I want to do with that guilt? I want to let that go. I want to release it, process it. Why? Because I did my best in the moment with what I had. So I can't feel guilty, because if I would have known better, I know that I would have done better. And because I know that, I do not feel guilty. So adjust, right? And you can do that with any emotion. I just chose guilt, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. Yeah. But so that is, I call those the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, adjust. It's part of our Control the Controllable series. So then AIM. I use the term targets because there's goals, you can set your goals, but we set targets because then you can visualize. As a hypnotherapist, visualization is very important, and you can visualize if you aim at it. And so that's why I use the term AIM, but it just happens that A is the authentic self, the you were before all the bullying, the, abuse, the whatever came into your life, authentic self. The I is for the imposter self. And remember, imposter is our protector. That's our girl. We're like, you better not mess with me. I'll get my imposter on you.
And I have such a negative connotation for imposter. I really do. Like, I think like imposter syndrome, like it's a thing and it's a thing that holds people back. But this is a really interesting perspective on it.
Yeah. And imposter syndrome it is a thing. Yeah. However, because we said that being the imposter is bad, like fake it till you make it is bad. Fake it till you make it is not all bad. These truth-telling professionals out here, oh, I'm such a professional. Oh, I only tell the truth. Well, a little bit of delusion is good sometimes. All that truth is getting in the way of you getting to your next level of financial success. So stop focusing on what you consider the truth, because sometimes it's not the truth, actually. It's the story that you're telling yourself. And so the imposter is full of these stories. So she's pretty, whatever she is, right? Your imposter could be tough, where somebody else's imposter goes into this like meek, really like docile personality. Whatever had to happen in your childhood in order for you to survive is what your imposter is. But that imposter a lot of times gets you through the places that the authentic self is, not able to get through because the imposter is in the way. So the imposter comes up to protect the authentic self. Why? So the authentic self can stay intact. Mm-hmm. So thank the imposter. But the M stands for measure. So how far are you when you're in your imposter self? How far are you from your authentic self? I love doing this exercise with men too. And if you are married or in a relationship, this is a conversation that you can spark. Like, have you ever wondered, when am I my authentic self and when am I my imposter self? And maybe they won't understand that language, and you can change that language a little bit, however you like. But when are you pretending? And then they're like, oh, when I'm at work, when I'm, I joke that a lot of times people have their like work voice, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, hello, yes, I'm at work. And this is how I talk when I'm at work. But when I'm at home, I'm like, yeah, what up though? So, and which part of that is actually you? And do you know how tiring it is keeping up that act? Mm-hmm. So wouldn't it be wonderful if you could be your authentic self more of the time? But again, I said the imposter is needed because there are times where you are going to need to turn on that imposter to protect the authentic self, because that authentic self doesn't have the same trait that the imposter self does. So you may need to tap into that and get that to make whatever you need to happen in that moment happen. And then you tame yourself to go right back to your authentic self. And the measurement, the distance between imposter and authentic should get smaller and smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. So you can go and come on back. So it's not taking you a long time to get there. Or if you are not doing your work, you may never get there. You might be stuck in imposter, which is going to make it. Could you be successful in being in your imposter self? Yes, outwardly, externally, but internally, you will not feel successful. I work with people who have made hundreds of millions of dollars who still don't feel successful because they're in their imposter self, not in their authentic self.
That's wild. It's really wild to think about it. But I know, just being completely vulnerable with those that are listening and with you, I mean, I have achieved great success as an entrepreneur, but I still, even though if I have people telling me this, or like you said, outwardly people see my, success in business, but it's still like this inward. Sometimes I'm like, but. Right? It's but, you can have all the testimonials, you can have all of these things, but there's still something that sometimes is a block, for me in standing in the knowledge that I have, right? The people that have told me all these things, like, it's not a knowledge thing. Like, I know what people are saying about me, and I know I can see on paper the success and things like that. But it's really interesting to me that you brought that up, that people that are, millionaires and bajillionaires, I mean, they still struggle with that. So I'm not alone. No. And you're not alone either. Whoever's listening who feels the same thing, like, you're not alone, but I think it's part of that feeling that where that imposter comes up and is like, at least for me, is where that hits sometimes. So,
yeah. And it's interesting because imagine the amount, like you're in the self-development industry and the amount of work that you've already done, and that's still a part of you. Just imagine the person who has not poured that much into themselves, how far their imposter is from their authentic self and how long it would take them to tame their brain to snap back into the authentic self, which is why I like using hypnotherapy to do that, because it's almost like I wave a magic wand. It's like you just go in. I like to compare it to like plucking the weeds out. You really just pluck it out and then it's gone and it's not there anymore. And you don't even know where it is. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm different. And people notice that you're different because you have changed your brain. The brain that the imposter was working with is completely different after you have done some healing. And now I use hypnotherapy, but you can use whatever healing modality you want to use.
Right.
But when you change your brain from seeing yourself a certain way, because there's all these stories that you have told yourself, the stories that got poured into you, all the different programs and sayings, that society has told us, you got to work hard for money. It's better to give than to receive. Whatever it says about women and money, all of the things. You have all of that in your brain. And the moment you release those, become aware of them, and then do the work to release them, whether it's a healing modality or time and repetition, like you learned your ABCs, you can still use time and repetition if you don't want to hire anybody. I'm a big fan of hiring people because I like things to happen fast. But
rip the Band-Aid off. Come on, let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off.
I don't want the time and repetition. That's so long and hard.
She always say fast and furious is better than slow and painful. I'm like, amen to that.
Yeah. And that's something you bring up, painful. I think that one of the things that I notice a lot is that people think that this work is going to be painful, right? Well, it's going to hurt. And I don't want to hurt. It may, but it's going to be like a few minutes. And like you said, rip the Band-Aid off. It may not. And the other side, it feels so good. It's like, the tiny amount of hurt you might even go through, because you might not even go through any hurt. And because sometimes, especially in hypnotherapy, I do a lot of laughter to get over the pain, especially trauma. And, we are talking about money, but all of this is about trauma. That story that you told yourself about what it meant to be a millionaire, the reason why you can't get there, it's a traumatic story to you. And some therapists talk about big T and little t trauma. Let me tell you, the brain does not have capital letters or small letters. It don't know nothing about that. All it knows is pain and hurt and trauma are the same thing to your brain. Right. So whether you're, like I tell this story where my mom says, "Oh, Kiné." One time I made a mistake and she's like, "Oh, Kiné." Like, that's soft. She didn't go, she didn't curse me out, right?
Yeah.
But that person whose mother cursed them out and called them all kind of names, and me, whose mother said, "Oh, Kiné," we have the same pain.
Right.
That is stopping us. Right. I became a perfectionist because of Kiné, where somebody else became a perfectionist because they were afraid they're going to get smacked in the face.
Right.
Well, we both became perfectionists and we both feel like we will not be loved if we don't get this right.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So as you're working with clients, what would you say? 'Cause I know someone's thinking this, okay, sounds amazing. Like, what is how long is the process? Like when you say plucking the weeds out and then it's no longer there, can you give them an idea of like, how long would that journey be? You answered the pain part, which was great. I know someone was thinking that sounds painful, but it also sounds amazing. And sometimes we have to work through, go through it to get to the other side. So how long would you say typically it takes someone to kind of work through it?
Well, ladies, it takes women the longest. Mainly because we want to control it. We want to do something with it. Am I doing it right? Is a question that so many women ask me. And I'm like, what is right? Like, what do you think is supposed to happen right now? And sometimes they get upset with me because they're like, you must not be a good hypnotherapist because I can't feel this. And I'm like, what is it that exactly you're thinking you're supposed to feel? Like, you don't even know what you're supposed to feel. But so women, we can take the longest because we don't usually like the linear process the way men and children do. If I tell a man step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, they're going to be like, okay, whatever you say. A lot of times men call me doc. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a doctor, but they're like, okay, whatever you say, doc, I'm doing it. And they will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Is it done? All right, cool. Let's go back. Let me get back to my life now. Yeah. And they are completely different than they walked in. So it can be as short as one session for some people. And it could be as long as a year, which is a really long time in hypnotherapy, just so you know. Yeah. A year of hypnotherapy is equivalent to about 6 years of talk therapy. So if you stayed in hypnotherapy for a year, it is because you were that attached to your story. And that's the second part of why it happens for women a little bit slower, because we are so attached to our stories. This is who I am. This is who I must be. I am a mom. It's like, yes, that is true. But this is a whole other part of you, it's like that you are able to be. And if you are not whatever society says a mom should be, then you're down on yourself, right? You can't make a certain amount of money because moms are supposed to be paying attention to their kids and not focused on money. Right. Or you can't run a business a certain way because you're like, I got to be home by 3:00 because that's what time my kids get home. So my business has to close by 2:00, so I can get home. Yeah. And if you don't do that, then you're a bad mom. Now that isn't true. Going back to the truth, right? That isn't true, but that's the story you told yourself. Yeah. Yeah. But there are plenty of people who are like, let me get an Uber, drop those kids off at my store. They do their homework in the back. And
I remember my littlest when I was growing my first business, and I was my husband's bookkeeper. I don't know how I even got into that because I'm not, that's just really funny. That's another story when we get off the recording. But anyway, it was where we were at that time. And I was building this other business, trying to help him. And his office was like a makeshift nursery. I mean, I remember having the pack and play over here, the swing over here, and the swing was going as fast as it could to get that child to go to sleep so I could go back to typing in QuickBooks, and do my other business. And it's just, I'm a figure outer. Like I try to figure out a way to make it work, and so I don't know why I just shared that story with you, but it was just really funny. It just brought me right back. The pack and play being right here.
Yeah. And the emotions that you feel around having to do that, right? Whatever stories you're telling yourself. For some people, it's just like, this is it. This is what I got to do. And this is awesome. And my kids are going to know that their mom worked hard, right? Or she figured it out. Like you said, I'm a figure outer. Where somebody else is like, I can't believe I have to do this. My poor kid is sleeping in an office where I should be at home it should have a beautiful bassinet and, whatever. Yeah. Neither one is right or wrong.
Yeah. It's just a story. Yeah.
So we have a lot of truths we tell ourselves, right? Oh, this is true. This is true. This is true. But none of it is fact. So little of it is fact. Yeah. And all of those stories that we are telling ourselves, if we can just let go of the truth, only focus on the facts, and then the rest is just like, just be curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is number 5. That's my favorite step in our Control the Controllable series, is just be curious, because that is what changed my life. I was never curious. I was like, ain't no sense in being curious because I'm going to make happen what I want to happen.
That's hilarious.
Until about 2010. And I went to a craniosacral therapist, and she kept asking me, how do I feel? How do you feel about blah, blah, blah? And I would say, well, I think blah, blah, blah. She said, Kiné, I said, how do you feel? And I was like, I'm telling you. And she's like, every time I ask you how you feel, you tell me what you think. And I was like, Okay, same thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my feeling. Like I don't have time for feeling, lady. I think that's what I do.
Oh man, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. We'll have to bring you back on. Because I have a whole story around that too. That's yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. And then and all of that is what was in the way of, did I have outward success? But did I feel successful on the inside? No. Why? Because there was so much more to me that wasn't getting out. The authentic self was behind the imposter self. And although the imposter was a great person,
right? Yeah.
The authentic self was still suppressed.
Yeah.
So it's not to say your imposter is some snake oil salesman or some, horrible, abusive person. Your authentic self could be a great person, but your imposter self could be a great person, but it doesn't mean it's your authentic self. Dang, you just heard, write that down. That is like a tweetable. I need you to understand that. I don't know who that was for, but girl, that was for you. And whatever light bulb, I don't think that was a seed. A lot of times, and you've heard me say this before, but sometimes we're planting seeds, sometimes we're watering them, and sometimes we're harvesting them. And as entrepreneurs, we have to know where we are in somebody's life. We get so upset because they don't pay us the amount of money we think they should pay us. Well, you just probably planted a seed. It's too early. You can't harvest it now. Right. Just let the seed do what it's going to do. Water it. And you might not be the person to water it, nor will you be the person who harvested. We just had a conversation before we hit record, right? I heard something 17 times and then you said it and I was like, some people have been telling me I should do that. I'm going to do that.
That is so true. Oh my goodness. That is so true. Yeah. Wow. I'm just sitting here thinking about that. That's so true. And it kind of goes back to when you talk about the search of meaning over money. And when you can look at business and your life in that way and don't have such this huge sense of responsibility to be the one who plants the seeds, waters it, and harvests it, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself too. And you may be just the one who's going to plant that first seed in that woman's life or in that client's life that just opens them up to this realm of possibility. And that was your impact. That was your role. That was your purpose in that conversation. And I think when you can come from that place of service and just know, well, I may just be the one who's planting the seed, but then someone else, you're going to be able to water, and then someone else is going to harvest. And that's going to happen in our lives too, as we, I just think that does make life and business more meaningful when you can think of it that way and let go of necessarily the outcome and it not being exactly what you want it to be.
Yep, exactly. And understanding that the money is not attached to your worth, your value, and who you are because you didn't say the right words. I have a program and it's very similar to what else is out there in the world, but I don't sell it the same way. I'm not going to and if you sign up today and only 3 left and it's I'm so over the, this offer will never be offered again until tomorrow.
We even have the countdown, right?
Exactly. It's all of that fear.
Yeah.
You don't have to, because what I'm feeling right now in the audience is the imposter is tired and you don't want to be the imposter anymore. And you're probably kind of over the imposter. And so because of that, you're not doing anything. The imposter is burned out. And you're like, you know what? I could do more in my business. I just don't want to because I don't like who I've become in order to do this business. I have to try and look like these other people and work like these other people and sell like these other people. And I don't get to be myself, and not being yourself is tiring. And that's the number one reason why you're burnt out, is because you're looking and you're seeing, I'm not even being authentic. Not that you're being a bad person. You're just not being your authentic self. And that is tiring. And so here's what happens when you get burnt out. You get stuck. You're like, I'm just going to stand still because I don't even have the energy to move any further forward. And I can't stop because I'm too far gone, right? Too far in it. So I'm just like stuck in this like limbo middle thing. But there's another level to your success. And the way you're going to get there is to shift into your authentic self. Now, for some people that I was listening to this podcast the other day, and this man said he stopped his business for 4 months and was just like walking around in his backyard trying to figure out what was next. Yeah. Until he figured it out. And then one day, bam, light bulb, and he got it and he just went in and started working. And his wife was like, oh, what just happened? Right. It might not be that for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not. Right. Because that's actually a very painful way to make a shift and go to your authentic self. It could be that you just allow it to happen in the business that you're running and be in that discomfort. Like, I'm in my imposter self. I'm sort of on a pause. We call it a presidential pause because you're aware of it. Yeah. So it's not like the universe is forcing you to pause, which is probably why he went through that 4 months, because he wasn't listening to the universe. So I'm preaching a little bit right here, but I need you to hear me because you attracted me into your life. So I'm telling you this. I'm just doing my job,
That's
lady.
Right. No, listen.
I'm just doing my job, lady. Yeah. So when you feel like the imposter is tired and burnt out, don't be mad at yourself. Just be like, okay, I see what's about to happen. I'm about to make a shift. And that shift is going to take me to more meaning in life. And so just allow it to happen. And it could be a big shift. It could be a stop this and start that. Yeah. That might be it. Or it could be this, evolution into something else, and you watch your business evolve into something else. I talk a lot about Shalene's story because she went from that fitness, doing the wrong thing, being the imposter, pretending like things were happening in a certain way. And then eventually she had to say, this is not it. This is not right. I'm saying the wrong things. I'm not even doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you know what? Let me make a shift. And never been happier.
Yeah.
Never been happier. I've never seen her so happy. Right. Yeah. So when you think about the money that you are making right now, you probably made more money in your past. You might have made less money in your past. And you're probably thinking there's a whole nother level of money you can get to. You are getting there. You are going there. One, because you're listening to this podcast. So you already know you're on your path to prosperity. Right. And you just need to cut away the weeds, pluck out the weeds along the way. And then you're going to see that garden grow a lot more plush and beautiful and colorful and whatever it is that you desire or admire. But understand, don't you dare go looking behind you or over there. Your garden is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And if yours is orange and blue and purple and somebody else's is all red, and you're like, wait, is mine supposed to be all red? No.
I love how you say it with such directness, because someone's thinking, well, maybe I need to go over there. There's comparison that comes in,
Yep.
And again, like you said, a lot of culture and society is telling us, well, this is the way. This is the only way to build your business, or this is the only way to sell. And it's kind of like, how can we think one diet's going to work for everybody? Because we all have different DNA. It's no different, right? Once you understand your unique abilities and what your true authentic self is, then you can build your business your way, in your way.
Yeah.
And be says, have it your way. That's a really bad example because I don't like it. I think that's their slogan, like have it your way, or maybe it's Burger King. One of those places.
Yeah, I think it's Burger King. Yeah. but it is have it your way. And I think the story that we've told ourselves so many times is we have to do it somebody else's way. Now, I will tell you, full disclosure, doing it your way can be a little slower. Doesn't have to be. You can manifest the heck out of this and make it happen fast. But it can be a little bit slower when you're going against the grain. Right. And it can be a little bit lonely at first. I do want to warn you about that. So when that happens, this is when you tap into your work. This is when you tame your brain. This is when you accept, okay, this is where I am, but I'm about to open a door to something so incredibly beautiful. I'm about to turn the corner and my tribe is going to be there. And I'm going to be like, yes, hey, where y'all been all my life?
That's amazing. Like I'm just visualizing. I wish y'all could see her, and maybe we will make this like a little video clip, but just so you can see how big and beautiful your smile is. And when you talk, like it just light just shines out of you. It's just amazing. And we could sit here and talk literally for another 2 hours, and I will have to have you back on the show because I want to talk through some more of this, but if you could share maybe just like, if you had the opportunity, which you kind of do right now, to speak to every mompreneur in the world, like what would be the one thing you would want her to know?
All right. So first, I am so practical, but I am so very woo-woo as well. So I'm just going to tap into what she wants to know because it is not about me. It really isn't. And I know that you're looking for that external message, right? That outward something, say something to make me feel better, right? So here's what I want you to know, but it really is what you want to know because this is what you asked me for. Everything you need, you have inside of you already. Now, you might need somebody like me to help you tap into it and pull it out. But let me tell you, it was you all along. You never needed any fake peel or whatever outside external thing. You never needed that. But because your authentic self got so chipped away at and broken up into all these little pieces, you do maybe need a guide to help you sweep all those pieces together and start putting here's one over here. Look, go here. Right. That is my only job. My job is not to fix you or make you or mold you. My job is to help you put those pieces back together so that you can be who you already are. That's it.
So good. So good. We will put links in the show notes for everyone to connect with you. And I know your email is probably going to be blowing up, hopefully. But this, again, we could talk for hours. And I just appreciate you taking the time to just serve. I mean, you just served so well today and gave them so many good nuggets of information. And you're just amazing. I'm just glad that I know you and that we're connected. And I'm glad that I just happened to watch that Facebook Live in Shalene's group, because that's where that group is huge. There's always people in there. And I just, let me tune in to see what she's talking about. And I just appreciate you so much. So
thank you.
Thank you again for coming on. And thank you everyone for listening today. Again, we will put everything you need to know to connect with her and her website and her social and all those things. So
yes. I appreciate you having me too. It is a joy. Like this is the best part of what I do in life is getting to be on these platforms. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for the work that you do. And now people know that there is such a thing. And that's amazing. Yes. So, all right, friends, well, I will catch you on our next episode. And until then, I'm believing in you always. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.